There comes a moment in the journey of every chosen one where the voice of God pierces through the noise, the chaos, the exhaustion, and says with a thunder that echoes through your spirit, "You've done enough. Now let me take over." If you're hearing this now, it isn't by chance. It's divine timing. This is your moment. Because for too long, you've been the warrior in the shadows, the one fighting silent battles while the world passed you by. Misunderstood, underestimated, even forgotten. But God never forgot. Heaven was watching every single step. You weren't just enduring for no reason. You were being refined, shaped in fire. And while others mistook your quiet for weakness, God saw it as strength. While they thought you were losing, He was setting the stage for something they could never comprehend. You see, chosen one, this is not just a new chapter. This is a holy shift, a prophetic moment in the spirit realm. You've crossed a threshold. Your tears have been counted. Your prayers echoed louder than you ever imagined. And the response has come. Somewhere deep inside, you've felt it. The tiredness that doesn't come from the body, but from the soul. The kind of weariness that says, "God, I've done all I can. I don't know what else to give." And in that whisper of surrender, God smiled. Because He's been waiting for this very moment. Not so you could break, but so He could step in. When you reach the end of your own power, that's where divine power begins. And now, God is stepping in. He's not stepping in to repeat what you've already done. He's stepping in to do what only He can do. The kind of breakthrough that doesn't follow logic. The kind of restoration that silences every mocking voice. You were never meant to carry it all alone. You were meant to carry it until the weight de-opened your spirit, until your human effort humbled your ego, until the heavens could trust you to handle what's coming next. And trust that you wouldn't forget who got you there. Let's be real. You've walked through storms that would have drowned others. You've sat in rooms filled with people who smiled at you, all while plotting your downfall. You've had nights where your soul screamed in silence, hoping someone, anyone, would truly see you. And still, you got up. Still, you gave. Still, you kept believing. That's not weakness. That's not foolishness. That is divine resilience. That is the mark of someone anointed, someone set apart for something far greater than the eye can see. And now heaven is releasing a declaration. You've done enough. Not because you failed, but because your obedience has unlocked something. You didn't need to be perfect. You just needed to be faithful. And you were, through heartbreak, through betrayal, through the long wilderness seasons when God felt quiet, but your soul knew He was near. That was the test. Could you keep walking when there was no applause? Could you keep giving when you had nothing left but faith? You did, and now the heavens are responding. This is where divine takeover begins. Not the kind you see coming, not a slow build, but the kind that suddenly shifts everything. The kind of movement that changes atmospheres, rearranges timelines, and breaks generational curses in an instant. You've entered a sacred zone where human hands can no longer control the outcome, where it's no longer about striving, it's about receiving. And yes, I know that sounds foreign when you've lived your life in survival mode, but this is not a season of survival. This is a season of surrender. Chosen one, the battle wasn't just about what was happening around you. It was about what was happening within you. God has been stripping off everything that made you rely on your own strength. He's been removing the illusions of control, tearing away the false security of human validation. Because where you're going, those things can't follow. You're not being elevated by performance. You're being elevated by promise, and that promise is now being activated. So if everything in your life has felt like it's been crumbling, look closer. God has been clearing space. If people have been walking away, understand this. Rejection was redirection. If doors have slammed shut in your face, that was protection. And now, in the space that's left, something divine is entering, and it carries the voice of God Himself saying, "Now let me take over." And When God takes over, things accelerate. Suddenly, the years the enemy tried to steal from you are restored in moments. Suddenly, your name is brought up in rooms you've never stepped into. Suddenly, people who ignored you start asking for your wisdom. But it's not about them, it's about Him. It's always been about Him. And now that you've proven your heart can be trusted, God is putting His fingerprint on your future. This is where your story shifts from pain to power, from silence to sound, from hidden to highlighted, because He's about to display what He built in the dark. You were never buried, you were planted, and the time of blooming has come. But hear me, this isn't just about receiving blessings. It's about stepping into alignment with a higher calling, one that's bigger than comfort, one that speaks to nations, one that carries heavenly authority. But before any of that unfolds externally, it begins with this internal release. God wants you to stop striving, to stop fighting battles He's already won, to stop overthinking and start trusting. You've done enough. You've proven your faith. Now it's time to watch Him be God. And trust me, He's been waiting for this. So breathe, chosen one. Let the weight fall off your shoulders. Let the need to prove yourself dissolve. God is taking over. And when He does, what once took years will take days. What felt impossible will feel effortless. Not because you stopped caring, but because you finally understood that you were never alone, never abandoned, never forgotten, just being prepared. And now preparation has met promise. Heaven has announced the shift, and your soul knows it. That strange sense of peace in the chaos, that's God. That quiet whisper that says, rest, that's God. The feeling that something massive is about to break through, that's not just intuition, that's prophecy. And it's unfolding now. You've made it through things that would have crushed other people. Not just situations, but spiritual warfare. Attacks you couldn't explain to anyone. Nights where your chest felt heavy, where your spirit was overwhelmed, but no one around you noticed. You didn't just survive life, you survived the unseen battles. The ones in the realm beyond this physical world, the ones that tried to silence your voice, break your mind, and dismantle your destiny. And yet, here you are, still standing, still breathing, still believing. That alone makes you extraordinary. Don't let anyone ever convince you that you're weak. Weakness doesn't carry the scars you carry. Weakness doesn't wrestle with depression and still shows up to work, still smiles at strangers, still prays for others even when your own heart is breaking. Weakness doesn't battle demons in silence, love people who betray, or give when there's nothing left to give. No, that's not weakness. That's spiritual strength. That's divine proof that the anointing of the Most High rests upon you. You've been walking through a wilderness, but it wasn't random. It was holy ground. The dry places didn't come to destroy you. They came to detach you. God was loosening every tie to the things you once leaned on, the people, the habits, the systems that felt safe. Because where you're headed, those things won't serve you. You don't need to be tied to comfort anymore. You need to be tied to calling. And calling requires courage, especially when the path feels lonely. Do you remember the moments when you felt surrounded by enemies, but had no one to cry to? Those weren't just unfortunate coincidences, they were divine appointments. Because God wanted you to lean on Him and only Him. Your tears were prayers. Your silence was worship. Every sigh, every whispered, "Help me." Every moment of choosing faith when fear screamed in your ear, it was seen, it was heard. And now the response is coming. There are things in the spirit realm beginning to shift because of what you endured in secret. You didn't even realize it, but every act of obedience, every time you forgave when it hurt, every time you gave when it cost you, was building a spiritual momentum. You thought you were losing ground, but in reality, you were planting seeds. And those seeds are about to sprout, not just into blessings, but into power. Power that no man can take credit for. Power that silences every critic. Those who thought you were weak are about to see your strength. Those who thought they buried you are about to witness your resurrection. But here's the thing. You won't even need to say a word. God will speak for you. The very same people who turned their backs will be the ones who have to look up just to see where God is about to take you. This isn't about revenge, it's about revelation. God is revealing who you are. Some of you were surrounded by people who never really knew you. They liked you when you were struggling because your light didn't threaten their darkness. But when your spirit started to glow, when your faith sharpened, when your discernment deepened, they grew distant. That wasn't a loss. That was a cleansing. Because when God is preparing you for something sacred, He doesn't let just anyone walk into the Holy of Holies with you. You are being consecrated, set apart, protected. You see, the truth is, the enemy knew who you were long before you did. That's why your life has been so intense. That's why the attacks have been so relentless. It wasn't random, it was strategic. The enemy saw the mark of God on your life and tried to abort your purpose before you discovered it. That's why the warfare started in your childhood. That's why confusion, trauma, and pain met you early, because something was trying to stop you from becoming who you were always meant to be. But it didn't work. You're still here. That's how we know. The plan of God is greater than the plot of the enemy. And now the tables are turning. You might not feel it yet, but everything is trembling. Hell is trembling. The darkness that tried to consume you is now terrified of you. Why? Because you've survived. Because you've awakened. Because you've stopped begging for permission and started stepping into your authority. You no longer question your worth. You no longer shrink to make others comfortable. And when you carry that kind of divine awareness, no enemy can stay near for long. Chosen one, it's not just that you're protected, it's that you're dangerous to the enemy's agenda. You carry light in a world addicted to shadows. You carry healing in spaces used to pain. You carry the voice of God in a society driven by noise. You are the remnant, the vessel, the warrior with a mantle. And the attacks against you were proof of your spiritual value. But now God is shifting things in your favor. He's exposing the schemes of your enemies. He's lifting the veil. No more hidden attacks. No more secret betrayals. The truth is being revealed, and you won't even have to fight. The Lord is fighting for you. He's not just defending you, He's honoring you. There is a reward for those who endure, and yours is being released. It's not coming through human hands. It's not coming through manipulation or compromise. It's coming through divine orchestration, the kind that turns the impossible into reality. The kind that makes people say, only God could have done this, because they need to see Him through you. Your rise is going to make people realize that God still moves, that miracles still happen, that favor is still real. So don't be surprised when blessings begin to chase you down. Don't be shocked when peace overtakes your chaos. When people from your past reach out and say, I don't know what it is about you, but something's different, you'll smile because you'll know. It's not luck. It's not coincidence. It's God taking over, reclaiming what was always His, and putting His glory on display through your life. And through it all, you'll be at peace. Not because the journey was easy, but because the war is finally over. The spiritual tension is breaking. The strongholds are crumbling. The wilderness has served its purpose, and now the promised land awaits. You can feel it in your spirit. Something is shifting. The air feels different. The weight is lifting. And it's not because your circumstances have magically changed overnight. It's because the atmosphere in the spirit realm is rearranging itself in your favor. Justice, long delayed, is being accelerated. And it's not just private justice, it's public vindication. God is about to do something so evident, so undeniable, that no one will be able to question His hand on your life. You've endured humiliation in silence. You've been lied on, forgotten, misjudged, but you didn't retaliate. You didn't fight fire with fire. You chose to keep your integrity. You chose to keep walking. You chose the narrow road. And now that choice is unlocking a reversal of everything the enemy tried to steal. The same mouths that mocked you are about to speak blessings over you. The same eyes that rolled with dismissal are about to watch in disbelief as you rise into favor, promotion, elevation, and purpose. This is divine recompense, not just for what was taken, but for the time you lost. The years you spent confused, grieving, pressing on without clarity. The seasons when your heart was broken but you still served. The moments you gave your best and still got blamed. The months you held back tears so you could uplift others. All of that, every second of it, has been recorded. And God is a God of restoration. He doesn't just give back what was lost. He multiplies what was stolen. But He waited. He waited until your heart was healed enough to receive it without turning bitter. He waited until your motives were clean enough to carry the blessing without it corrupting you. Because you weren't just being prepared for provision, you were being prepared for power, spiritual power, influence, authority, not so you could boast, but so you could break chains for others, so your life could speak louder than your words ever could. And now that the refining process has done its work, the releasing is here. Hear this clearly. No weapon formed against you has prospered. And now the ones who tried to form those weapons, not just people, but the spirits behind them, are trembling. Because the assignment failed, the trap didn't work, the curse reversed, and the blessing that was delayed is now being expedited. You are not cursed, you are covered. And now that covering is about to shine in ways that make even your enemies pause. The same people who tried to hold you down are about to witness your rise. But this time, it won't be about proving anything. It'll be about fulfilling everything God promised you. Because this season isn't about ego, it's about evidence. Evidence that God is faithful. Evidence that righteousness pays off. Evidence that purity has power. The world needs to see what it looks like when someone chooses obedience over popularity, when someone chooses the Spirit over the spotlight. And you, yes, you are that evidence. But let's pause and go deeper. This isn't just about success or prosperity. This is about divine reversal. That means the areas where you were last, you'll be first. The places where you were denied, you'll be welcomed. The doors that were shut, God Himself will open them. You won't have to beg, force, or hustle for it. It will be drawn to you, because heaven is backing you now. Some of you have been overlooked for years, in your workplace, your family, even in ministry. You've watched others get ahead who didn't walk with integrity. You've seen people manipulate their way into positions while you stayed true, and it hurt. It confused you. You wondered, God, do you even see me? But God didn't just see you. He was hiding you, protecting you from premature exposure, because when you carry something sacred, you don't rush the process. You wait until heaven says, now, and heaven has spoken. The now is here. Let this be the moment where you stop striving and start receiving, where you stop doubting and start declaring. You are entering a season of acceleration, of answers, of release, not because of anything you manipulated, but because of everything you endured with grace. And God is not just rewarding you, He's revealing you. This next move will not just change your life, it will change the way people see you, because He's not just elevating you, He's establishing you. You are being rooted in a place of spiritual power, no longer tossed by the opinions of others, no longer begging for affirmation, no longer confused about your value. You know who you are now. You've been through enough to recognize your worth isn't tied to applause or attention. It's tied to assignment. And when you know your assignment, no one can stop you. So I say this prophetically to you. Get ready. Get ready to be called higher. Get ready to step into rooms you never thought you'd enter. Get ready for conversations that lead to contracts, for prayers that lead to miracles, for encounters that shift entire generations. Because this isn't just about you anymore. This is about legacy. You are the answer to someone else's cry. You are the breakthrough your bloodline has been waiting for, and now the wait is over. But even as the blessings flow, stay grounded, stay humble. Remember the pain that built your character. Remember the wilderness that shaped your soul. And most of all, remember that this isn't your doing. This is God taking over. You just stayed faithful. He's doing the rest. And He's not done. This is only the beginning of what He's about to do through you. The peace you're starting to feel, that's Him. The quiet joy bubbling up, that's Him. The supernatural confidence rising in your chest, that's not pride, that's awareness. Awareness that you are backed by heaven, that your steps are ordered, that your battles are being handled. So don't be surprised when everything starts moving. Don't question it when doors swing wide open. Don't hesitate when opportunities arise. You've done enough. You've proven yourself. You've passed the test. And now, it's God's turn to show out. Let Him take over your plans. Let Him take over your worries. Let Him take over your future. You'll find that what you were trying to build in 10 years, He'll do in 10 days. What you thought you missed, He'll bring back better. What you thought was broken, He'll make beautiful, because that's who He is. He is the God who sees, the God who knows, the God who acts. And when He moves, no one can stop Him. Not even you. You've probably asked yourself more than once, why me? Why the rejection? Why the delays? Why the crushing isolation, the sudden betrayals, the spiritual attacks that came without warning? Why was your life marked by struggle, even from a young age, when all you wanted was peace? You didn't choose this path. It chose you, or rather, you were chosen for it. And when you are chosen, your life doesn't follow the same rhythm as the rest. You live under divine laws, paradoxical ones, that often don't make sense until you've crossed to the other side of pain. The truth is, the attacks against your life weren't random. They were calculated. You were born with a light in you that terrified the kingdom of darkness. You were marked by heaven, anointed before you were even aware of it. And because the enemy couldn't destroy what God put in you, he tried to distort how you saw yourself. He used people, family, friends, even strangers, to convince you that you were too much or not enough. He tried to bury your voice in shame, your identity in confusion, your purpose in pain. But what the enemy didn't count on was your resilience. What he failed to predict was that your wounds would become windows, openings through which divine light would pour into you. You became stronger not in spite of your scars, but because of them. You didn't run from the fire, you walked through it, and in the fire your soul met its maker. You learned how to hear God not just in church pews or perfect prayers, but in the ache of your bones, in the silence of rejection, in the crushing weight of spiritual warfare. That's where you discovered who you really are. And here's the mystery of your calling. The more intense the warfare, the greater the weight of your destiny. You were not just called to live a good life. You were called to disrupt systems, to dismantle darkness, to carry a frequency that awakens others. That's why you never quite fit in. That's why you always felt different. It wasn't your imagination. It was divine design. You were wired for depth, for discernment, for realms beyond this physical world. Your intuition was never just intuition. It was the whisper of God, trying to guide you through a landscape others couldn't even see. But that sensitivity came at a cost. You felt things more deeply. You grieved longer. You questioned louder. You walked through seasons where your soul felt like it was unraveling, and no one understood it, not fully. They told you to move on, to get over it, to just be normal. But how could you be normal when your spirit was being stretched by eternity? How could you be casual when your life was under the weight of divine calling? People around you didn't know how to handle you. Some envied you without understanding why. Others distanced themselves because your presence convicted their comfort. And some, those you trusted the most, betrayed you. Not because you were weak, but because you were too strong for them to manipulate. You couldn't be controlled. You couldn't be boxed in, and so you were rejected. But even that was divine, because rejection was never meant to break you. It was meant to redirect you. Every door that closed was a spiritual wall God erected for your protection. You thought it was a failure. It was favor. You thought you were being excluded. You were being preserved. Because when you carry something sacred, God doesn't let just anyone have access. You are not common. Your presence disrupts atmospheres. That's why the enemy tried to wound you early, so you would hide your gift, doubt your voice, suppress your light. But your survival proves something. He failed. And now you are waking up to a new level of awareness. You are beginning to see the patterns, the cycles that repeated for years because of unhealed trauma, soul ties, spiritual contracts that God is now breaking off of your life. You're beginning to recognize who you are in the spirit, not just a person, a vessel, a weapon, a carrier of God's glory. You've been forged in pain for purpose. But let's get real about something deeper. Many of the people who attacked you weren't aware of what they were doing, not fully. They were being used by the very spirits that were assigned to stop you. Their jealousy wasn't personal, it was spiritual. Their hatred wasn't about you, it was about what you carry. The enemy has always known that if you ever woke up to the truth of who you are, the chains that bound generations before you would begin to break. So he sent distractions, temptations, confusion, delays, all to keep you occupied in survival, so you would never activate in dominion. But it didn't work, because now you know, and what's known can never be unknown. What's been revealed cannot be hidden again. You've been spiritually activated, and that awareness alone changes everything. You're not just fighting for yourself anymore. You're standing for every person who ever gave up because the battle felt too big. You're standing for your ancestors who died with songs still locked inside their souls. You're standing for the children yet unborn who will live freer because you chose not to back down. You are chosen, but you are also charged. This is more than destiny, it's duty, a sacred responsibility to walk in your light even when it costs you everything. Because that light, it doesn't come from you, it flows through you. You're the instrument. God is the sound. And now that you've made room by letting go of your need to control, by surrendering the outcome, He's ready to take over completely. So don't waste your energy questioning what's been lost. What God is bringing doesn't look like restoration. It looks like recreation. You're not going back to what was. You're being launched into something entirely new, and you're not doing it alone. Heaven is backing you. Angels are assigned to you. God Himself has spoken. You've done enough. Now let me take over. Let Him take over the narrative. Let Him redeem the years you wasted trying to earn love from people who were never capable of giving it. Let Him rewrite the ending of your story. It's not too late. You're not too broken. You haven't missed your moment. If anything, you're right on time, because time bends for purpose, and your purpose is calling. This moment, right now, is sacred. You are being awakened to the fullness of who you are, not what they said, not what life taught you through trauma, but what God has spoken over you from the beginning. And once you know that truth, there's no going back. You are the exception. You are the remnant. You are the shift, and God is taking over. You've made it through the storm. You've walked the long road through fire, wilderness, and warfare, and now you've arrived here to this sacred intersection of surrender and destiny. And in this moment, heaven is still speaking. God is still whispering over your life the same words He's been declaring since the beginning. You've done enough. Now let me take over. And this time, something inside of you actually believes it. Not because you're weak, but because you're finally strong enough to release the outcome. Strong enough to let go. Strong enough to trust that the same God who brought you through everything you thought would destroy you is the same God who will carry you into everything you were born to become. You are the chosen one, not in arrogance, not in self-worship, but in divine reality. You didn't volunteer for this. You were marked for this. And with that divine mark came pressure, isolation, sacrifice, but also revelation, depth, intimacy with the divine, and now it all makes sense. The battles, the betrayals, the delays, they weren't the end of your story. They were the beginning of your unveiling. There is a glow on your life now. It can't be denied. It's not surface level. It's spiritual. It's the quiet authority of someone who has seen God in the middle of the valley and still chose to worship. It's the spiritual fragrance of someone who was broken but not bitter. Someone who wept through the night and still chose to rise at dawn and say, God, here I am, use me. And because you did that, heaven is responding. This isn't just a moment of emotional comfort. It's a spiritual unlocking. Things are being released to you, not because you chased them, but because you aligned with who you are. You remembered you reawakened. And in that awakening, God saw that you could finally handle the weight of what's coming next. And what's coming next? Favor you didn't earn, opportunities you didn't ask for, divine connections orchestrated behind the scenes, healing in places where you gave up hope, laughter in rooms where there used to be silence, joy that bubbles up for no reason, peace that follows you into every room. It's not the life you imagined. It's better, because now God is the one building it. And when God builds, no one can tear it down. So breathe, chosen one. Take a moment and let that truth settle in your bones. You're not chasing anymore. You're receiving. You're not performing anymore. You're becoming. You're not proving anything to anyone anymore. You're simply existing in your anointing. And that alone is enough. You don't need to go back and fix everything. You don't need to re-explain your heart to those who refuse to see you. You don't need to reopen closed doors, because what's coming next is new. New people, new places, new provisions. But more than that, a new you. Not a version of you formed by survival, but a version of you birthed in surrender. A soul that's done striving and finally at rest in the will of God. And if the noise gets loud again, if the enemy tries one last time to convince you you're not ready, not worthy, not enough, remember this: you were never called because you were perfect. You were chosen because you were willing. And God does not call the qualified. He qualifies the called. And you, chosen one, are called. You're not who you used to be. That old version of you, the one who settled, the one who doubted, the one who clung to the wrong people just to feel loved. That version of you has been buried. You're not going back. You can't unsee what God has revealed to you. You're too awake now. You've seen too much, endured too much, and healed too much to return to the smallness of your past. That version of you served a purpose, but now it's time to rise. The world is shifting. The spiritual atmosphere is alive. And those with eyes to see and ears to hear can feel the urgency of this divine move. You are being positioned not just to receive, but to release. What God pours into you now isn't just for you, it's for others. It's for the broken ones you'll encounter. It's for the hungry hearts who need your testimony. It's for the generations that will come after you and call you blessed because you didn't quit. So I leave you with this: walk boldly, speak softly, love deeply, and trust completely. The path ahead won't always be easy, but it will be divinely ordered. You don't need a perfect plan, you just need a surrendered heart. Let God take the lead. Let His Spirit whisper the directions. Let your soul remain sensitive to His presence. Chosen one, this is your time. This is your season. This is your shift. And no force on earth or hell can stop what God is about to do through you, because He's not just moving around you, He's moving through you. He's reclaiming everything the enemy tried to silence. He's breathing life into every dormant dream. He's rewriting your story in front of the very people who thought it was over. So take this to heart. Let it echo in your spirit in every quiet hour. You've done enough, my child. Now, let me take over. And in that holy surrender, watch heaven move. Until next time, stay grounded, stay chosen, and stay surrendered. Your story is only just beginning, and the best part? God is the one writing it now. If this message spoke to your soul, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Let someone else know they are not alone. They are chosen too.